About 9 years ago, I had this dream that I would have a natural parenting store. That's what I always wanted, but I just never really thought it would happen. And so that's why whenever I saw Steph kind of doing this, I was like, oh my God, I'll help in any way. That is amazing. This is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Thank you so much for joining us today for another episode of the Startup Junkies podcast. We have the pleasure of having Stephanie and Caitlin this morning here with us from the Wellness Shop and our co-host Daniel.
Good morning, Claudia. How are we doing?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Great. It's Monday morning.
I know. Well, yes, it definitely, and it's raining, so it just feels like the perfect morning to stay in bed. So I think we deserve already a thumbs up because we didn't do that.
Absolutely.
So tell me, you guys, a little bit about the Wellness Shop, kind of like the background behind it. I'm really excited to talk about it.
So I'm the founder and we're co-owners. I started the Wellness Shop because I was tired of meeting shipping requirements and all these different companies. So I really wanted a place to make non-toxic products accessible to the community. Yeah. So what else do we say? You have a wonderful spiel.
Yeah, no. When I came aboard, I was really excited about the community aspect, and I loved the idea of offering community support groups. One thing that we do that's really special is we have a monthly birth meetup, and that's something that we regularly host once a month, the first Saturday of the month at noon at our shop. And I just loved having a space to gather. I'm a transplant to Northwest Arkansas, so building community was really important to me, and I saw this place as a place to hang out and chill, and it was like dreams come true. It was just amazing. It's amazing to be a part of.
Yeah, that's awesome. What year did you found it, and then what year did you kind of come on board?
We opened the brick and mortar in 2022, October 2022, and Caitlin was
January 23. Yeah,
right after that.
Yeah, very recent then.
Yeah.
What was kind of the inspiration? What tell us a little about the journey? How you guys got here?
So I've always kind of leaned more toward non-toxic living, just reducing synthetic chemicals and exposures, hormone disruptors and things like that. And I realized that there's such a strong need for community, like Caitlin was saying, transplants in our area. I'm a transplant too. I've been here a little bit longer, but I just, convincing people that they need community and to get to a space where they can, because community is so fragmented these days that bringing everybody together for one common goal is really important and was important. So
I love that. I think right now non-toxic products and finding like better alternatives and solutions is kind of just like popping off right now. At least people that I know are really trying to just change their course. I do it a lot on my household products. What is the best, what is your top 3 non-negotiable, non-toxic that you need at home?
Laundry. Your skin is your biggest organ in your body. And if you can imagine, everything you wash your clothes with is covering you, or your sheets or your towels. I mean, you're literally just existing in your laundry. So I think that's a big one. And for me personally, dish soap. Whenever I switched over to a non-toxic dish soap, I noticed that my hands were not being torn up as much. I wash my hands a lot in the kitchen, so I don't have 2 different hand soap and dish soap. Yeah. So that made a big difference in my own health. Yeah. The third one, what would I...
Probably just general personal care, like shampoo and conditioner and stuff like that. I think it is intimidating and overwhelming when you're starting on that journey. And so, when you run out of a bottle of shampoo, it's easy to come in and just get a few ounces and see if you like it, if it works for you. We really are into bio-individuality also. Yeah. So we just recognize individuals. Yeah. And so, it's going to be different for me, what I need at home versus what Caitlin needs at home, prioritizing the new product to switch out. So we'll help you with that.
You mentioned the refill. That's one of the cool aspects of it, is that you can come in and try a couple of ounces of anything before you actually commit to a full bottle or full size container, and so that is really nice for a lot of people that are just starting their non-tox journey. They're like, all right, I'm just going to take a couple of these dishwasher pods. Let's see how it works. And then they always come back to get more.
Yeah, that's awesome. Where do you guys source all these non-toxic products from?
We have several different suppliers. from all over. The farthest one, we had to go to Australia to find a non-toxic perfume that actually is non-toxic. There's several that claim to be non-toxic, but they're not quite up to our standards. We just have really strict standards. And so that's the farthest away. And then the closest is we have an in-house line. We make a lot of stuff too.
I love
the essentials line is we make ourselves, and we make soap and whipped tallow, which was another one of the products that helped heal. I used to struggle really bad with eczema on my hands. I know I mentioned earlier about the dish soap.
Yeah.
The whipped tallow, I'm not really a big fan of the way lotion feels on your skin.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of avoidant of using it. But this actually sinks in, and it nourishes your skin and it's so bioavailable because tallow is beef fat. I mean, it's mammal. But I love it. It's only 2 ingredients, and we whip it up right in your backyard. So try it.
That's so crazy because I would have never thought of perfumes. I love perfume. I have a bunch. I get like 1 or 2 a year. But I never thought about that being so, toxic and then so hard to find an alternative. One thing that I think it's amazing because you guys have a brick and mortar is people can then come in and can I use you as consultants? Because I personally had to do a lot of Google research and I never knew what was real and what was not. But then I can come in and be like, okay, this is what I'm looking, I'm looking to change my dish soap, or I'm looking to, so that you guys give it more of like a 101 feel.
Yeah. Kind of going back to how overwhelming it is when you're starting. It's really important to us to stay up on the brands that we're keeping and new brands, and just making sure that anybody that walks through our doors, it's not going to be overwhelming. You don't have to read labels. We encourage you to. Like, you should know what you're getting, but we can walk you through and talk you through. We don't want to be pretentious because I think when you're switching over, there is a tendency for the crunchy community to be a little bit pretentious, and we want to erase that. It's really about having healthy community and healthy people.
Like you said, very intimidating. And I think it gets even more intimidating actually walking into a place because you don't know the vibe you're going to get. And I experienced that a lot. I was like, okay, well, I'm starting. I don't know all the things. I don't know all that you know. So I think that is, you're almost kind of just changing the culture of, or just like the culture of the non-toxic environment to something very attainable and accessible.
We're trying. It's we like to call it community-based entrepreneurship because really the store is just the front for the community, but we do want everybody to be as healthy as they can be and authentically healthy for themselves, so...
Yeah, just kind of speaking about that community, on your website, it said, regardless if you're a crunchy mom or just somebody seeking a healthier lifestyle, you have countless people supporting you along the way.
Exactly.
Can you guys touch on that support a little bit?
So something that I want to mention about being like a low waste store is that we're not going to tell you to come in and throw away all your stuff. None of that stuff is good for you. Like, that's sometimes like what you get bombarded with whenever you're like, I want to switch to a non-toxic lifestyle, but I have all of this stuff. Well, being low waste, we want you to use that stuff up. Use it up, and then come bring the bottle in and refill it with something better. you know, like that is really why we want to make sure people feel supported. And, our community is so big, and that's one thing that we feel is really special and unique, is that you can come in and have a friend, you can just come in and talk. You can, I feel like people come and ask for all kinds of advice. And that's one of the reasons why we started our podcast. That's what we were so excited to come on y'all's podcast. We actually met Harrison at the podcast.
Yes. Plug that, because what's it called? Because I would love to listen to it too.
It's called the Wellnest with a T. Wellnest, Wellnest, the Wellnest Mamas podcast. And we started about a year ago doing our podcast. And the main reason was because people come to us being shopkeepers and they're kind of looking for resources. Yeah. So somebody will come in with a question. They're like, I'm really struggling with a tongue tie. My baby has a tongue tie. We're looking at all of this. I'm like, well, go listen to the podcast episode with Stacey Fletcher. She's a myofunctional therapist. She has all kinds of fascinating information. You'll love that episode. And then when you're finished it, maybe you'll call her. So we have all kinds of local professionals that we've come and interviewed and just talking about mostly like alternative health. Like, myofunctional is not really something people are talking about. Well, we should be. Yeah. We've had a mold specialist. We have chiropractors and pelvic floor. We're just kind of opening the floor to discuss health and wellness and what it means to live sustainably in Northwest Arkansas specifically.
And I think that's another thing. People don't realize that we do have a lot of options, even though our community is not as large as others. Kind of piggybacking off what Daniel was saying. So you're both transplants. When did you move?
I have been here for just over seven years, I think.
I just made 5 years.
Oh, yay.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm also a transplant. And I think that community piece is so important. So was that when you started the store, the like the meetups and the community programs, was that something that you always wanted to do with the store, or did it kind of develop as it went?
So actually I had started an online, just like Facebook group, wellness group, the Wellness Mamas community group, which has grown quite a bit. But that was just a place for people to kind of step into switching things over and learning a little bit more, learning about different ingredients and products and things that I was, walking along that path, like, hey, stumble through this with me. And so it's always been rooted in community.
Yeah.
It always has. We need to keep the lights on so we can have that space.
Yeah.
And so then it was like, well, all of these people want to use all of these products and need a place to access them easily, not wait for shipping, not pay for shipping. We're moms, we're on budgets. Like we don't want to break the bank for anybody. We want to help people save money. So that's a big part of it too. But it's always been rooted in community and just learning together and living together. So,
I know we're talking about community a lot, but it does seem like it's such an integral part of your business.
Absolutely.
Can you tell us a little bit about some of your in-shop workshops and events?
Okay, so we do all kinds of workshops. We love gardening. We've hosted several gardening workshops. We did a worm bin compost DIY workshop.
I need to start hanging out with you.
Yeah.
Come on over. We have couches. We have a lounge in the shop just for that purpose.
All kinds of fun stuff. We've done a winter sowing workshop, which is really fun. You can learn how to grow your spring and summer garden in the winter. That one's really fun because I like to tell people, I'm like, your garden starts in the darkness of winter. The cold, and it's all part of it. We've done a bunch of crafting workshops. We did a wool felting workop, which I don't know if you've ever worked with that, but you've probably seen it on TikTok where you take the needles and push the felt and make pretty art. That is amazing. I hope to do another one because I had so much fun. We've done all kinds of things.
Candles.
Candle pours.
We also like rent out the workshop space. So people that have something to offer to the community. Also, we've done like hand lettering workshops. We've done house plants. What was it called? Cocktails and Kokidama was
that was so much fun.
It was a mobile bar that came and she did cocktails and mocktails, and then we made Japanese moss balls for house plants. That was really fun. We do candle pours, which is you bring in your own vessel and then do that.
We did a puberty party.
That was great.
That was so much fun. We invited a local pelvic floor therapist to come in and explain all about the pelvic floor, like what do those organs look like. We had a cool craft where you could actually visualize the pelvic floor, and we gave natural non-toxic pads and period panties that you can just wash and reuse. And just kind of explained this delicate process to several 8 to 12-year-old girls and their mothers. And we had a tea, and we showed them the different herbs in the tea and
I love that.
why some are helpful during certain times of the month. And
Well, and I feel like all of that information is usually attainable for a very high cost, usually. Even just like pelvic floor exercises when you're pregnant. And I'm not a mom, but I've seen it with my sister. Or when you're a teenager, there's not a lot of safe places where you can go. And now I'm sure you guys have seen the news how pads and tampons have all these extremely toxic metals. And now, being able to find a solution close to home is ideal. Before we and I'm sure Daniel will have some questions about like you guys just moved recently and you kind of had all that. So we'll talk about that. But I would love if you could give kind of like the listeners a piece of advice that somebody who's starting their non-toxic journey, I don't have the time to throw everything away and start from scratch. So my main thing has been like slow but steady. What is your best advice for people that are starting on that?
I think that is really the best part. Start slow. One little thing at a time is progress, and then find your community. And we are We are the community, so come see us. But we're accessible online too. If you don't live in NWA, come on the website, send us an email, whatever. We're around and we want to help. So.
Yeah, I think just start small, start somewhere. Just like Steph said, any small step makes a difference in the right direction. Don't let yourself feel overwhelmed, because it's okay to use what you have, and do use what you have. Use it up or donate it. And don't get so overwhelmed to feel like you have to start totally over.
And that's what I've seen so many people just be like, okay, I'm going to do this non-toxic stuff. Then they throw all this stuff away that they already have, which is extremely wasteful. They don't recycle any of it. They could have donated for sure. And then when they're starting to buy back all of the products non-toxic, they get overwhelmed. So then they quit. So I think it's also good in finding that balance between using what you have and starting new.
So I have a background in professional organizing as well. One of the things that really helped me with the whole refill concept is, oh my gosh, now you don't have all those bottles underneath the sink. Because
drives me
you
crazy.
have like just a little bit left in all of them. Use them up. Find the bottles that you like. The ones that spray well.
Yes, I do. I know exactly what you're talking about.
So use those bottles again, and then you have a clear space. Like I feel so much joy in my laundry room because I have a cute little glass container with my powdered laundry detergent, and I can bring that container into the shop and refill it. And it just makes so much sense because I'm not throwing any containers away. I have the ones that I use, and I use them all the time, and they're pretty, and I don't know. So I feel like there is a bit of functionality to it as well with refilling. So where you're not actually having to develop all this clutter that you have to then bring to the recycling center or throw away or do whatever.
Yeah. No,
Seems like it's just soap, but it's a lot more. It's
a lot.
Yeah.
It's very holistic and reaching every part of your life.
As a professional organizer, do you ever come to college guys' apartments to help them out?
Pay me.
I might have to because it's not organized
We
at all.
actually have a program. It's called the Wellnest Home, and we will come and help you detoxify your house. So basically, it's like a consulting program.
Sign me
Yeah,
up.
Claudia needs that.
You just I'll come in and kind of see what you need and kind of give you an idea of where we start from, and then you can kind of just have somebody there in your home and be like, all right, let's start here. It's definitely it's a concierge service. It's not something that we talk about all the time, but it is an option. If you're ready for an overhaul,
My husband's
just give us
gonna
a
be
call.
very excited about it. No, that is, and recently we started using a lot of vinegar and baking soda, and because I didn't know where to really buy them. I also like to smell and touch kind of what I'm buying, and that's hard to do when you're buying online. So I've kind of just switched to vinegar and baking soda, but I'm hoping for something that has smell. So I'll have to go
That's one of the things we hear a lot is because, vinegar and baking soda are fabulous.
Yes.
They use them all
Use
the
them for
time.
everything.
But everybody starts to miss
Yes.
those nice scents.
Yeah.
and-
We do have a clean
experience.
vinegar that has a nice scent to it as
Oh, wow.
well. So if you
So I'll
want
have to go buy.
if you want to
and
do
it's
a little
bit
upgrade.
higher acidity, so it
yes.
actually is cleaning a little better. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, Claudia touched on it earlier, but you guys just relocated, did you not?
Oh yeah.
Not by choice,
not by
right?
choice.
Not
It
by
was,
choice.
Mother
Forced
Nature
relocation.
requested that we relocate.
Via a tornado.
Yes. The recent Rogers tornado that happened in May, we were hit by. And before we knew what was happening, we were just thinking in our heads, oh, we'll be fine, we'll be fine. Popeyes took the hit for us.
Yeah, thank you, Popeyes.
Oh no.
I don't know if you're listening to this, if you're familiar with the Rogers area, Walnut and Turtle Creek Plaza, it's where our old location was. It got rocked by the tornado, and that whole shopping center will likely be torn down and rebuilt. So we had to move, and we had to think fast because we had to get everything out. Everything was covered in glass and dirt, debris-ish. You know, it was just a big mess, really. So we thank God for our community because we had people come out, not unasked. They just showed up and they helped us load everything up from the shop with totes in hand, boxes. I have chills thinking about it because it was so impactful seeing these families work together just to get everything out as quickly as possible because we didn't know if the roof was going to cave in. Like we just had to get it all out.
Yeah.
So that Sunday we packed everything up. And then Monday morning we were going back and getting the shelves. We were exhausted, and Steph had the brilliant idea to let's go get some coffee.
That's our always good idea. Start with a friend is let's go get some coffee.
And then we drove around Steph said, let's look and see if we can find any places for rent. It's probably smart that we get on top of it because there's going to be a lot of people looking for a new space because unfortunately there was so many businesses impacted in homes and it was really, really devastating. But we found a tiny little for lease sign in a little window at a barber shop. And we weren't sure if they were just like leasing a chair in the barbershop because we couldn't really tell if it was like
bags
just starting open or what. But we're peering in the window and the landlord, who happens to be working on his building a little ways away, walks up and he's like, y'all don't look like looters. Are you looking for a place to lease? Yeah. We're like, actually, yeah, we're totally in the market.
Wow.
And so he showed us one place because he had two buildings. One would have needed to be totally renovated from the ground up, like no electric, nothing in it, empty, bare bones. We're like, oh, we really need something more open door situation. Yeah. So he had another unit, which was the barbershop. And so we turned it within a week because we found it that Monday. We were able to move in the next Saturday because that was the first. So those 5 days were torture, knowing that we had a place to go, but not being able to get in there. Oh, and I forget to tell you, in the meantime, we mentioned our podcast. We had just opened our podcast studio. We had rented it 2 weeks before the tornado. It was a tiny little office space that we, just to have all of our equipment in one place. And our old shop was actually next door to a dog groomer. So we could only record when they were closed because the dogs would be barking in the background, which is kind of distracting. Yeah. So we wanted a space for our podcast studio. So luckily we had that little office space because we were able to move everything from the old shop
became a literal holding
the
space.
Studio. Yeah. So it was packed to the hilt, like a storage unit with all the things. And so for those 5 days, and then that Saturday, we were able to move everything out. And again, the community came out again. We had friends let us borrow a trailer. We had just hands helping carry children, carrying boxes to and fro. Yeah. Then the dusting and the cleaning and the wiping and the picking out glasses of every little thing. So that was the journey. And then we were able to open up 2 weeks later. Yeah. So
we love proactive queens.
Days.
Like, I am sure if you guys would have waited 2-3 more days to go looking, you would have found absolutely no space. So that's amazing. That's meant to be for sure. I wanted to ask a little bit about the name. So it's Wellnest. Is there I'm guessing a meaning behind
it's a blend between feather your nest and just wellness. So
was there a reason for it? Did you just like the
we just knew
it?
that we wanted holistically to take care of your home. You're in your home. You are your home. Yeah. It's a community, which is a home. So it's just
our
the
nest,
phrase feather your nest.
Yes, I love that. That's a beautiful name.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, we've mentioned kind of your services, your community. I saw on your website coming soon is some wellness services and kind of some coaching. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So I am currently in a functional medicine nutritional program. We also are doing myofascial appliance university so that we will be practitioners of that. And the other thing I'm working on is a homeopathy certification, so I can be a certified homeopathy practitioner. So.
My aunt is too. Yeah. So I grew up taking homeopathy instead of real medicine for years. Yeah. So I'm a big believer. I love that. That's amazing.
Yeah. Just in case our listeners might not know, because I totally know what it is.
Yes. Oh, I'm sure
but just in case our listeners don't know what homeopathy is.
Homeopathy. So homeopathy is just an alternative medication. It's really, really old. It's an ancient medication. It's based in energy, basically. We're all made of the same thing. And so if you introduce a small part of a disease or an ailment to the system, it'll recognize it and help your body come back into balance. So it's just, we offer a lot of natural tinctures and medications. They're not really medications, but
drops.
Yes,
Yeah.
for lack of
Goodness.
of a better term, easy to understand. It's a natural medication
Remedy.
remedy.
Oh,
Yes.
very cool.
Perfect.
Well, hopefully our listeners who didn't know what it was
Yes,
now
now
do.
they know.
Now they
our
know.
college
Now they know.
needs help with organizing too. So that's two of them that you need help with.
Yeah, I guess.
So tell for people that are not, familiar with the shop or familiar with you guys, where to find you, where do you listen to your pod, where to, look for future events, all of the things that they may need to know.
So everything is on our website. It's thewellnest.shop. Very easy. And the podcast is the Wellnest Mamas podcast. We're on every major podcast platform.
And YouTube.
And YouTube, yes. That's a video podcast.
The
yes.
shop on
The Wellnest
YouTube.
Mamas.
The Wellnest
the
Mamas.
Wellness Moms. Okay.
Yeah, Wellnest Mamas. And then also we are on social media. Instagram is the wellness.shop as well, and on Facebook. And then if you come in, we have little cards with our QR codes, and it'll take you everywhere that you want to go.
Yes, and we are located at 104A North 12th Street in Rogers. We're on Suite A. We're right there. The big white building, it says the acreage on the side.
Hey, the new great location that you
Yes,
found.
it's beautiful.
We love our new location. We traded the dog groomer for a barbershop next door. So we totally love that.
There you love loud noises. That's what you're saying in your podcast.
It's great though. We get tons of walk-in traffic.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So you guys are, obviously you said you started in 2022, fairly new. What does the next 5 years look like for the Wellness Shop?
We are actually just talking on the drive down here. We, prior to the tornado, we had a little business savings account that we were working on putting aside to open up our second location in Fayetteville.
That's so exciting.
Oh my God,
yeah.
that is the best news.
Yes. So we are kind of jumping back into that process now. And within the next year or two, we are also working on a franchising program so that we can get wellness, authentic wellness, into every town that anybody wants to. So
Oh, that's awesome.
Every
Absolutely
community
love that.
needs a wellness.
Watch me open the next one in Elkins.
There you go.
Great idea.
In fact, we probably get no people, but the intention's there. So I'll ask, go ahead and ask the last question.
Land the plane.
So if you guys were to look kind of back in your life, 10 years ago, and see yourself where you are now, kind of with the knowledge of who you are now, would you give yourself a piece of advice, and what would it be?
Well, that question actually making me
It
cry.
always makes me cry. I was going to say that.
I would say about 9 years ago, I had this dream that I would have a natural parenting store. That's what I always wanted, but I just never really thought it would happen. And so that's why whenever I saw Steph kind of doing this, I was like, oh my God, I'll help in any way. That is amazing. This is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. So I would just tell myself to keep dreaming. Don't ever stop dreaming.
You're going to make me cry.
I know.
Making her emotional.
I know. Yeah. Okay.
I love that Caitlin said that, because at 2:30 p.m. every day, she has an alarm on her phone and it chimes and it says, your dreams are possible. And at the
guys, I can't do
same
that. It's Monday.
time, at the same time that Caitlin was dreaming about a natural parenting store, I was also dreaming about a natural parenting store. And I actually owned a company called Pure Earth Baby, and that has since been dissolved. But that was an completely online natural parenting store, and I think that's probably where this really started. So just my advice to me and others would be stick with it. Your dreams are possible, and dream big.
Yes.
Don't leave it small. You can make it happen. If I can make it happen, anybody can make it happen, I promise.
That's beautiful. Well,
That's some great advice right there.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for kind of spending some time with us. And I'm really excited to check out some of the future workshops and hopefully see the store here soon. And then we can bring you guys back and talk about all of it again.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you guys for coming in.
Thank you.
Ecosystem builders, entrepreneurs, chambers of commerce, mayors. If you're interested in taking your economic future into your own hands, we've got a book that can help you. Creating Startup Junkies, Building Sustainable Venture Ecosystems in Unexpected Places is the guide. It's a little bit inspiration. It's a little bit toolkit. What it will allow you to do is take your economic future into your own hands and build a sustainable small business, innovation, and entrepreneurial ecosystem in your backyard. If you'd like to hear more, check out creatingstartupjunkies.com. The Startup Junkie podcast reaches over 100 countries and has had over 100,000 downloads. If you're interested in reaching some of the most motivated and engaged innovators and entrepreneurs on a worldwide basis, give us a shout.